Hi guys, Peachy here, and we're back with another episode of Higurashi. I lay down on the couch and stayed there dazed for a while. My mind was completely blank. I couldn't think about anything for more than a few seconds. There was a note in my house saying that Mom and Dad would be home late and that I should have some ramen or something for dinner. I could make it whenever I got hungry, but I had no appetite, so I just stared blankly at the ceiling without eating anything. The hands of the clock were already pointing at 10. Would I get another phone call like that today? Even though Shion had already disappeared, would she still call me? Where were they calling from, and who were they? The more I thought about it, the more I started to tremble. I even thought about just disconnecting the phone line. If I had been thinking a little less logically, I really would have done it too. Hold on, Keiichi Maibara. Oishi-san admitted it himself, didn't he? That Shion went missing a lot? Couldn't she have just gone to relatives that Oishi-san didn't know about and have been there ever since? Shion and I were both being targeted by somebody, so it wouldn't be strange to think that she went somewhere she usually didn't in order to hide. That must have been why Oishi-san couldn't locate her, and why he labeled her a disappearance. Yeah, that had to be it. Shion hadn't disappeared at all. Then my right hand moved of its own violation and slapped me on the cheek. Its cold sting let me calm down a little. Don't just convince yourself of the most convenient possibility, Keiichi Maibara. I knew I didn't want to admit she had disappeared. Admitting it would mean that something terrifying was definitely happening. I just needed to figure out whether Shion was the one on the phone or not. Would I ask her if she was actually Shion? That seemed like an incredibly absurd thing to do. Still, don't run from this, Keiichi. If the person on the other end still believed that I thought she was Shion, then that gave me a tiny advantage. Casually, completely casually, I would listen to what she had to say, and fend her off. I would tear the skin off the monster. It would definitely be really scary for me. However, as the last survivor of the people who went into the storehouse that night, this was my duty to perform. Still, then who would call me and pretend to be Shion? I may have only heard her over the phone, but her voice shouldn't be that easy to replicate. That was definitely Shion's voice. It sounded just like her. It could have only been Shion. There was something though, wasn't there? Someone who sounded just like Shion. Mion. Who else could have done this? At this point, seriously, after all this time, all those little things that didn't quite make sense about Mion until now overwhelmed my mind. Like being questioned about sneaking into the ritual storehouse and how she shook the ladder while spouting curses. Who else could have? Why though? Why would Mion? I thought back to the things about the Sonozaki family that I had heard from Oishi-san and Shion. Mion was always entangled in the incidents, in a position where she was omnipotent. Some of that information included things that Shion had told me after she disappeared. I madly scratched at my head. Courage. Give me the courage. Just a little bit of courage to pick up the phone. I know it will ring tonight. It would be so easy to run away. That, though, would be the same as making it easy for them to erase me. I cannot run. I must stand up and face it. After all, the next sacrifice would definitely be me. I was sure Shion would use tricky words to try and trap me. Be careful, be careful. I'm scared. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. At that point, it rang. The phone rang, and I didn't know where the call was coming from. Shion had disappeared. Disappeared a long time ago. Disappeared the night after watching Higurashi. Yet, until today, she had been calling me like nothing happened. Now, again tonight. The people that had disappeared, their corpses, simply haven't been found. I really didn't think they were alive. So if it really was Shion on the other end, then did that mean she was calling me from another world? Of course that couldn't be. A living being was calling me, pretending to be Shion. Shion was long gone, and yet, as though she were alive and well. The phone continued its insistent ringing. I didn't want to pick it up if I didn't have to. I had just concluded, though, that not doing so wouldn't solve anything. Then, what would I do after I answered it? Would I immediately declare she wasn't Shion and ask who she was? Alternatively, would I pretend I was still fooled and try to grab her by the tail? That would probably be the safest thing to do. What I was most afraid of, what the person on the phone would do when she realized I knew she wasn't Shion. However, as soon as I continued to let her think I was fooled, she wouldn't do anything extreme, right? If I just make sure to be careful, that should be the safest option. I've made up my mind. I'll answer the phone. Once I do that, I'll talk to her as if nothing happened. That wasn't all I'd do this time, though. I'd scope her out. Who was she? What was she thinking? And what was she after? Why was she doing this? Was she really the one who killed Tomotaki-san and Tanaka-san? What happened to the mayor? What happened to Rika-chan and Satoko? I reached out for the receiver, my arm trembling. There were too many things I wanted to know, too many things I wanted to ask. I was so scared. I should start by picking up the phone. Pick it up, Keiichi. Pick it up, Keiichi. Hello? Oh, how relieved I would have been if it hadn't been a call from Shion. Ah, Kei-chan, it's me. It's Shion. My momentary, convenient, and above all fleeting prediction was ripped into 1,000 pieces. I couldn't help shaking at this point. Get ready for this. You took a long time to pick up. I thought you weren't home and I was about to hang up. Sorry. I was just in the bath. Did your family not pick up for you? Could your parents be out right now, Kei-chan? I failed. I let her in on a fatal piece of information that I was currently the only one at my house. Well, no, they're not really. Anyway, have you heard about Rika-chan and Satoko? No. What happened after that? Were they found? Nah, they weren't found. Kei-chan, please don't lose hope. If Oishi-san hadn't let me know, then I might have allowed myself to shed a tear or two at Shion's considerate words. Instead, now that it had come to this, I couldn't take her words at face value. This person on the other end of the receiver, the most perfect of as Shion they were, the more my blood curdled in fear. Rika-chan and Satoko, they were kidnapped, weren't they? Yes, I don't think there's much doubt. Just how cruel and grave a meaning did those words hold? Their weight astonished me, and then a moment later I was overcome with numbness and felt like I would pass out. I had asked if Rika-chan and Satoko had been kidnapped. Shion, in turn, had answered that there wasn't much doubt. That cruel meaning behind her words. Rika-chan and Satoko were... I'm sorry. About the mayor, what do you think happened after he was kidnapped? Do you think he's still alive? What happened to Rika-chan and Satoko after they were kidnapped? That's what I wanted to ask, but I frantically caught myself. What if she had given that question a terrifying response in such a way to sound like it had nothing to do with her? I was scared of that, so I immediately brought up the mayor. That said, however much I talked about the mayor, I think he was killed. Hey, wait, that was quick. I think it must be really hard to kidnap someone and keep them like they are. As long as they're not hostages, it would be most practical to kill them once they were done with them. The world started to bend so much I almost lost my balance. The scenery in my eyes whirled around and around like the hands of a clock and tried to swallow me whole from below. I frantically put a hand on the wall to support myself. A moment later, a severe nausea welled up within me. How was she saying such things so lightly? Kill them so readily. I mean, what's a human life or two anyway? It's a horrible thing, but I think that's probably what happened. If the mayor was killed, then does that mean the same thing happened to Rika-chan and Satoko? No, that couldn't. They weren't some random old man. It was Rika-chan. It was Satoko. They couldn't kill them so readily. It's probably better to think that Rika-chan and Satoko-chan ended up the same way. Ah. Those were the words I wanted to hear the least, and I fought them back with a scream of my own. Even though it wouldn't change anything, I still couldn't help but scream. This time, the tears flowed. I'd been confronted with the most horrific outcome that I'd been trying to avoid considering ever since last night, and I cried. There was no longer any doubt that it was my fault. I killed them. I killed Rika-chan and Satoko. I succumbed to the weakness of my own heart and confessed everything to Rika-chan. That's why they were killed. And that meant I killed them. When Rika-chan looked at me with those innocent eyes, if only I hadn't given in. Even my voice gave out, and yet still I cried. And cried. Hey-chan, please just try and calm down. Rika-chan and Satoko, they've been killed. We couldn't even find their remains. I would never be allowed to even apologize to their faces. If that was to be my punishment, then how brutal a punishment it was. I think Shion tried to comfort me, but I didn't hear any of it. What are you going to gain by doing that? They're definitely going to target you and me next. Please, I'm asking you, get a hold of yourself. Please, please. Shion was shouting, imploring me with a voice that sounded like tears in her eyes. However, I was coming to hate the sound of that voice more and more. This Shion killed them. I had no doubts that this person killed them. Why? Why kidnap someone and then kill them? Screw curses. Are people's lives really that cheap? Erasing them and killing them without a second thought like this? You're right. You're absolutely right. It would take a demon. I felt like crushing the receiver in my hand. How long did this person plan on acting like it was someone else's problem? There was a magma in the pit of my stomach, and it felt like it was going to erupt at any moment. Hey Shion, please tell me, why did Hinamizawa start needing someone to die on the night of Watanagashi? That's what I'd like to know. The fighting over the dam project is already over and done with. Haven't enough people been cursed already? Why is it? Why? If there's a reason, then say it now. I was incoherent at this point. My emotions had broken through the dam inside me, rushing forth, and I couldn't stop them. These were not simple questions. This was an interrogation. Shion herself hadn't realized it yet. It was just too funny. It was so funny that I just couldn't stop crying. I understand how you feel, Kei-chan, I really do. The damn wars ended a long time ago, yet murders and disappearances keep happening every year under the guise of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Why? Why is it happening? Some of them had nothing to do with this, and some of them didn't deserve to be cursed, so why? Why? That's what I'm asking you. I want to know that just as much as anyone. Both of our ragged breaths could be heard over the phone. Listen, Oyashiro-sama's curse never existed. It's too unrealistic. Just like you said, someone in the village is using the grand name of Oyashiro-sama's curse as a justification for continuing these murders and disappearances every Watanagashi. They were cunning. They've been using the curse as a convenient tool and made a system where they can get rid of 2 enemies in the village every year. And this year, that system killed Tanaka-san and Tomotaki-san. Then why wasn't that enough? Why did the mayor and Rika-chan and Satoko have to get killed too? I don't give a shit about the past. The only thing I care about is why Rika-chan and Satoko needed to be killed. Why is that? I didn't say a word to Satoko, you know. Why even her? Why? A silence fell between us. Shion didn't answer for a while. Kei-chan, please, stop being mean. A sob. Was Shion crying? I don't have any idea what's going on either. Everything's changed when we went into the ritual storehouse that night. It was the same for me. As I listened to Shion's bitter weeping, I could feel my agitation subsiding. When I heard that Tanaka and Tomotaki-san had been killed that night, I doubted my ears. Then I realized it instantly. I realized what sort of position I was in now. The 4 of us snuck in there. Kei-chan, you and I won't be so conveniently forgiven. When I thought about that, it made my chest so tight. It was so terrifying. You know that feeling, Kei-chan, don't you? There was nothing fake about her words. She'd even understood how I felt. That's why I confessed everything to Old Man Kimiyoshi. All of us entered the Forbidden Storehouse. It was just a little bit of fun. We knew we shouldn't have done it, but it really had just been for fun. It was only a bit of exploration, that was all. Tanaka-san and Tomotaki-san, who went in with us, were killed shortly after. They met such miserable ends. Since that day, I've been living in fear of when I would be attacked. There was nobody except Old Man Kimiyoshi who would help me. So I asked him to save me. Old Man Kimiyoshi, he wasn't mad. He smiled and said, if you're really sorry, Shion-chan, then you'd never be demoned away. He really did smile at me and told me to leave it to him. Shion cried bitterly, recalling the beloved mayor's death. It was such a sad voice that none who heard it could prevent it from twisting their hearts. Again, did I let my emotions take over and go off at her? Shion was in the same situation as me. She should have been my one and only comrade. Thump. My heart pounded. My other self, deep within my mind, whispered to me, don't forget, Keiichi Maebara. Don't forget about the mayor on the morning after Watanagashi. He was told of Tanaka-san and Tomotaki-san's death over the phone and committed to a meeting that evening. He went to a hospital appointment, and he didn't tell his family. He'd only made it back just in time for the meeting. He went straight to the assembly hall. That's what Oishi-san said. When did you let the mayor know? Huh? I'm sorry, Shion. It must seem like I'm kicking you while you're down, but Shion, you told him, right? You told old man Kimiyoshi, the mayor. Yes. Heck. When did you let him know? I'd begun to get scared of saying it aloud after hearing her sad voice. I wasn't saying it was contradictory, though. Besides, if there was a contradiction, then I wanted Shion to explain it to me. Did you know that the mayor had a severe case of hemorrhoids and had gone to the hospital for treatment? Kei-chan? What does that have to... Please answer me. If you didn't know, then just say so. There was a momentary silence. Then after stammering a few times, she replied, I knew that. He had hemorrhoids. It looked like sitting down was really hard for him. He was going to the hospital. You know which hospital, right? I'm sorry. I don't know that much, but... Kei-chan, what does this have to do with... Shion didn't know what hospital the mayor went to. That meant it was impossible for her to have gone all the way to the hospital to confess everything. Since she didn't know his destination, then she obviously couldn't have seen him on the train either. If there was any other chance for her to contact him, it would have been after he came to Hinamizawa. The train, however, had been delayed, and he only got back right before the meeting was about to start. He didn't have time. There wouldn't have been enough time for him to listen to Shion spill the beans. I want to ask you straight. Shion, when did you tell the mayor about everything? When and where? Your answer doesn't have to be precise, but please, give me one. Kei-chan, why are you asking that? Her sob pierced into my ears. I was taken by the illusion that I was bullying her. Even so, I'll say it. If I'm wrong, then please correct me. Please prove to me that you're the real Shion. It was impossible. The day the mayor disappeared, from dawn until he vanished, there was no opportunity for you to contact him. That's... The mayor left first thing in the morning for his examination at the university hospital all by himself, without telling anyone. Shion, you just said you didn't know what hospital he went to. So you couldn't have contacted the mayor until he got back. Isn't that right? His train back was delayed by an accident, and he didn't return to his house until the meeting was about to start. So there was no time for you to have told him before the meeting started either. I heard Shion repeating her weak sobs. That sort of feminine voice automatically ripped into my heart. It was so painful for me to say it. Shion, did you go to the meeting too? Did you attend it and tell him there? If you didn't, then there wouldn't have been any time left. After the meeting was over, the mayor disappeared on his way home. Shion went to the meeting, didn't she? Did she or didn't she? The question was so simple to answer, but she didn't give an immediate response. Actually, with the meeting, You didn't even go to the part-time job you said you went to that day. I'll say it more directly. You haven't been seen since we were at the library together. Kei-chan, I will... Shion Sonozaki disappeared the day after Watanagashi. The other end fell silent as a grave. It was so quiet that it was like the phone cord had been cut. I couldn't sense anyone there. Oishi-san says that you've been missing. Despite that, you've been calling me every night like this, haven't you? Shion's sobs were torturing me. Still, I'm pretty sure I haven't said anything wrong. Please, Shion, if something I said was wrong, please say so. Shion, I'm begging you. Shion, there's no way you could have seen the mayor, but if you did see him, if Shion ever did have the chance to meet with the mayor on that day, then you saw him after the meeting. In other words, it could have only have been right before he disappeared, or else afterwards. Beep, beep, went the dial tone. I stood there dazed for a while until I realized she had hung up on me. Okay, guys. We're gonna go ahead and save this part here, and we'll see what happens next in the next episode. See you guys soon. Bye.